Thank you. Please remain standing for the prayers by Pastor Tunde.
O Lord, we do not control the affairs and seasons of our lives. You are the creator of all things. You rule in dominion over everything, and everything will return back to you at the end of it all. Thank you for the turn of another season in our lives in the London Borough of Hillingdon. Thank you for the mayoral year of Cllr Becky Haggar. Thank you for the so many seeds that have been sown and contributed all across the borough. As we enter into this new season of change, O Lord God, go ahead of us. Let all these seeds and connection brings and yield good fruits in all the corners of this borough. Let things get better than we have ever imagined or expected. We pray for our new leaders, the cabinet, and the entire councillors, and the London Borough of Hillingdon Council for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Help them to solve whatsoever the problems and the issues that might crop up with peace and the welfare of our people. We thank you, God, for our Royal Majesty King Charles. We commit his reign unto your hands. Grant us socio-economic success to overcome this inflation that is ravaging our country. We declare peace in our economy in Jesus' name. Have your way in our meeting tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome to the annual general meeting of the Council, the 11th of May 2023. Just before we start, can I just remind everyone to please switch off your mobile phones or please have them on silence. Thank you. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I have apologies for absence from Councillors Chapman, Money and Palmer.
Thank you. Order number 2 on the sheet, declarations of interest. No, so we will declare that as no. And order number 3, the election of the Mayor for 2023-2024. Just before we begin the election for the new Mayor, I would like to share with you a brief summary of the year of 2022 to 2023. It has certainly been a once-in-a-lifetime year that has held its own historic place in the Borough of Hillingdon. This year commenced with the Platinum Jubilee last year, the lighting of the beacon, and celebrations. We have seen 3 Prime Ministers this year, and we are probably one of the very few to have actually met Liz Truss in her post. The hottest day on record was last year, and we were in the mayoral robes. Then we had the sad passing of the late Queen and the representation of Hillingdon at RAF Northolt. We saw the retirement of our Deputy Lieutenant, Bruce Holder, and the ending for this year was the street parties for the coronation of our new King, King Charles III. It has certainly been a busy year. Fundraising and sponsorship has also been a fun part of the year, from our Bollywood party to our St. Patrick's Night. Lifting up the charities and connecting them to support across the borough has been advantageous. And then there was our final event, the Stockley Park Run in the Robes, 5K, not to be forgotten. A big thank you to everyone for their support. We have made over the past year great friendships and amazing contacts. But none of this would have been possible without the support of so many. It is always a team effort. A personal thank you go to my husband and consort Marios for all his support, for putting his job on the back burner to support the Mayor and this borough. It has been a tough year, and personally behind the scenes, Marios has lost his father when we were deputy, and since being Mayor, his mother. But he has still continued and has been a great asset. Marios had an ability to make people feel so much at ease. His joyful jokes and laughter always fill the room. Thank you to my daughters, Ellie and Polly, as escorts. I'm so incredibly proud of my two amazing, strong daughters. You have both conducted your duties in such a professional way, with grace and dignity. People love to see you both, and you brought so much encouragement to our younger generation. I know Dad is looking down on you both today, and he will be so proud of you. Thank you. Thank you also to Joe, Sue, Chris and Andy. Such a professional team, and you have all made it a year of joy. From organisational skills to a calmness and a trust. You have all been way above our expectations. My final thanks go to my mum, who has held the fort and stepped in when needed. Thank you, Mum. She has never let me down, and we as a whole family will all continue to serve the Borough of Hillingdon in our own little ways, spreading respect, love, kindness, compassion, and understanding as a family. A big thank you, of course, goes to the leader and Nick. Thank you for nominating me last year and for covering my workload, which has enabled me to fulfil my duties as Mayor. It's certainly been the best year of our lives. We know that we have delivered our best to our duties as Mayor, consort and escort, giving 100% into this role and served our borough with gratitude throughout 2022 to 2023. Our charities have been amazing, and thank you to everyone who supported us. To date, we have raised over £28,000. As we welcome our new Mayor for 23 to 2024, we wish them success in this year. It will be a year of service, which will be an abundant blessing to continue for the rest of the year for our Borough of Hillingdon. And we wish them all the success. Thank you. We now move on to the nominations for the Mayor. And can I call for nominations for the Mayor, please? Yes, Councillor Roy Shamdell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It gives me great pleasure this evening to nominate my brother, my friend, and now my ward colleague to the role of Mayor 2023-2024. Originally from Pakistan, the eldest son from a farming family with lots of livestock, Sharia graduated in politics, and on coming to the UK, where he set up a translation and interpreter agency, he also did a diploma in law at Birkbeck. He's a firm believer in progression through education. and he has hopes to build a grammar school in his hometown called the Elizabeth Marr Foundation, and this is indeed an extremely noble cause. Sharia is a kind-natured, easygoing, and extremely driven gentleman, but this is always done with a smile. His conversations with me as to the events he has covered for you, Madam Mayor, as your Deputy Mayor, he's always been told with a booming smile and a huge sense of pride. His ability to listen, always, will serve him well in his mayoral year. He'll be an asset to the roster of mayors who have served in our wonderful, diverse borough. But this will be a Team Wallana year. Both Tuba and Abdul, they will support him well. Having become a Hillingdon councillor in 2014, following his emphatic victory, after a few recounts, he won by 2 votes. But then we saw both with Ian and Peter. They worked extremely hard. And in 2018, Sharia topped the count with a majority of over 500. I mean, his spirit of never say die, his dedication and his devotion to public service is second to none. I mean, he in fact held language classes for ladies after 2014 for the Hillingdon Knowledge Group. I mean, he's a school governor. And this is a testament, a true testament to his life role of wanting to help and give back to the community. On a lighter note, Sharia tells me he loves listening to ghazals, something which I do as well. And he also likes listening to a boy band called Boyzone. I'm not quite sure how that actually fits in, but I do, looking forward to a few renditions in the mayor's parlour or not. Looking after Uncle G's wife, she's not been in the greatest of health. So Sharia decided, how am I going to help? He's going to help by washing up. And now he finds this so therapeutical. Every time when he finishes work, hard day's work, and delivering his 2,000 in touches, he's greeted by a sink load of dishes and pans. And this is from an ex-bodybuilder as well. I mean, he's let himself go a bit. But what can we say? In the words of Boyzone, which I'm told is one of their hits, no matter what, you will be a marvellous mayor, Sharia. Enjoy every moment, and God bless. Thank you.
And is that seconded? Councillor Gabriel.
Madam Mayor, I'm pleased and honoured to second my ward colleague, Councillor Ahmad-Wallana, to be not just the Mayor of Hillingdon, but the first Muslim Mayor of Hillingdon. Councillor Ahmad-Wallana represents the very best of Hillingdon. A natural people's person, he embodies the standards and characteristics that help serve our residents best. He's a strong advocate for fairness, equality, diversity, equal opportunities and justice for all whilst being a kind-natured, caring person. Through our work in our ward, I've seen firsthand his dedication to charity, community service and community cohesion. Now, my Councillor Chamdal touched on it briefly, but like most, Councillor Ahmad-Wallana's journey into politics was not a typical story. He was attacked by a gang while living in Ealing, injured to the point of unconsciousness, and after recovering, he contacted his local MP, but like many others, was disappointed with the lack of help. After moving to Hillingdon, he was introduced to former Conservative councillor, Councillor Neil Five, who offered advice and help and introduced Councillor Ahmad-Wallana to a community of local champions and encouraged him to stand. Now, Sharia's journey as a councillor began with turbulence, standing for the first time alongside our now leader, Ian Edwards, and won by only 2 votes after a third recount. But as someone who's no stranger to hard work and has resilience running through his blood, Councillor Ahmad-Wallana engaged with his community and became a well-known household name within the community. He turned his pain into a campaign and has since been delivering effectively for residents. A living example for someone who's putting residents first. Madam Mayor, I'm sure the whole chamber knows by now how privileged we are to have Councillor Ahmad-Wallana as our next mayor. So I'll briefly end by speaking of his wonderful wife and daughter, Amtul and Tuba. They've done a wonderful job in assisting as deputy mayoresses throughout the past year, and as they embody the same compassionate nature as Councillor Ahmad-Wallana, I have confidence that they'll do a stellar job in supporting him as mayoresses. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? Councillor Higgins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep this brief. I mean, I can't follow all those wonderful stories of Councillor Tunde. I've known Councillor Wallana for many, many years, and all I can say is that he's a true gentleman, and he has always been respectful to his colleagues and willing to help them with it himself and stand him in good stead as the following year comes about. He has a lovely manner about him and willing to engage with people from all different walks of life. He's very engaged in his own community, and over Ramadan, the recent one, I have seen at first hand his hard work with the Muslim community, promoting diversity, cohesion and inclusiveness in the whole community. With all these attributes that have been said tonight, I think you're going to be a great mayor, and I wish you all the success in the upcoming year. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? Okay, are there any other nominations? Fantastic. So, we would like to... So, tonight, do we agree that Councillor Sharia Ahmad-Wallana will be the next mayor for 23-24? Congratulations. Councillor Sharia Ahmad-Wallana, you are mayor for the next year. We will now adjourn.
Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first item of business is for the Mayor to make and sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office.
I, Shahryar Ahmad-Wallana, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfill the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to announce that concludes the appointment of Councillor Shahryar Ahmad-Wallana to the position of Mayor of the London Borough of Hillingdon for the forthcoming municipal year 2023-2024.
Item 5, appointment of Deputy Mayor. I would like to appoint Councillor Colleen Sullivan, the Deputy Mayor for the municipal year 2023 to 2024. Item 6, the new Mayor's announcements. First of all, thank you to both of my board colleagues, Councillor Roy Chamda and Councillor Victor Gohil, for nominating and supporting me for the mayor position and for your beautiful speeches. I also thank Councillor Henry Higgins for your kind words. This means a lot to me. I would also like to say a big thank you to Councillor Ian Edwards, the leader of the council, for giving me this immensely honourable opportunity to represent this first-class borough, the London Borough of Hillingdon, as a mayor. I thank every councillor in this chamber for your support. I will continue the tradition of putting residents first and doing my utmost to represent everyone who lives in the borough with grace and dignity. Thank you, Lloyd, and the mayoral team for your continued advice and support for the past 12 months and the year ahead. I'm thankful to now the past mayor, Cllr Becky Haggar, for supporting me the whole year and giving me invaluable advice. There was always a warm welcome with a smile whenever I popped in the parlour. I also owe you a big thank you when I was feeling low and sad after my dear mother's passing. You saw me in the group office. You came to me, put your hand on my head and prayed. You said to me, Shahryar, Do not be sad. Your mother is in a better place. Becky, thank you for your kindness and emotional support during my grieving. I'm exceedingly pleased to announce that my wife, uncle, and daughter Tuba have agreed to be the mayoresses. Thank you, both of you. I admire your passion for serving and giving back to the community. I would also be accompanied by our family friends, Sabrina Tabar and Fabiana Fawaz, who have kindly accepted to be my escorts. I'm very grateful to you both. Thank you to my guests for coming to my mayoral ceremony and making it even more special for me. Dear Mom, I'm sure you are watching me from heaven and proud of your son for becoming the borough's first citizen. Dad, I know it's your bedtime because it's midnight in Pakistan, but you are up watching us on YouTube. May Allah Almighty bless you. I am honored and humbled to share that coming from Pakistan to the United Kingdom as an immigrant in 2003 and naturalized in 2009 in the Civic Center, where I am sitting in the same building as a mayor. This is a true example of inclusivity, equal opportunities, and equality. It is our great honor to represent the borough with the passion of bringing communities together, honoring cultural diversity, and advocating for the borough of historical landmarks, parks, green spaces, and educational institutions, and celebrating its pride of being the host of thousands of international and home students at Brunel University. This makes Hillingdon an attractive place to live, work, and visit. Through religious festivals and celebrations across the borough, we have created an understanding between interfaith groups to make one community and support and strengthen Hillingdon's equality and diversity policy. Hillingdon's voluntary organizations are the backbone of our one community and have done and achieved so much for the residents of Hillingdon. I have chosen two charities, Hello Children's Foundation and Al-Fla Institute. In 2011, Aliyah Jones' husband sadly died from a brain tumor at 27. At the time, she had two little daughters. As the girls grew up asking her where their father was, she didn't know what to say or how to help them. She could not find help for herself and her daughters in her local area, so Aliyah set up Hello Children's Foundation charity. She started sharing the information and supporting the community. This has grown over time by offering several services to help children express their loss and understand death through creative art and play, counseling, sport, and more. It is based in the Chimes and Hello Play Cafe. Hello Play Cafe is an innovative idea to encourage families out of the home to access the support they need when a loved one passes. It is open 7 days a week, and referrals can be made within the cafe for further support. Al-Fla is a vibrant educational and sports center for women and children dedicated to providing a stimulating, challenging, and caring environment for everyone to reach their full potential. As a registered charity since May 2010, Al-Falah began with the vision of Mrs. Mariam Tariq and provided much needed assistance to those in need. The center also provides mediation sessions to support those going through difficult times, such as death, divorce, and relationship problems. In addition, they strive to empower the less educated with guidance, advice, and counseling services. Furthermore, the charity provides practical skills to empower women to become independent and ready to enter the workforce. The charity offers free skills classes, including English, Maths, and IT. These qualifications help to develop confidence and enable women to apply for jobs and contribute positively to their local communities. Additionally, the charity's Refugee Support Initiative includes opening a food bank, starting English for speakers of other languages classes, and providing counseling services to support and help refugees in Hillingdon. I hope and believe that whatever money is raised will help both charities enhance their community services and endeavours to make a difference in the lives of the deserving in the London Borough of Hillingdon. I am pleased to announce that I have appointed Imam MD Sirajul Islam from Muslim Community Centre, Uxbridge, as my chaplain for municipal year 2023 to 2024. Imam Sirajul Islam, thank you for accepting the chaplaincy role. Once again, thank you everyone for giving me this fantastic opportunity to serve and represent this great borough and put the residents first as a mayor. Agenda item 7, vote of thanks to outgoing mayor. Councillor Edwards, please.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Mayor. And how do I say to a friend, congratulations on your appointment? Who would have thought when we started off in 2014 we would be able to speak to each other in this way? I'm delighted for your appointment. And if I may, at risk of breaching protocol, speak more directly to Becky, our outgoing mayor, for thanks for this mayoral year, which has been a truly unique year. It will never be repeated, and that brought with it additional responsibilities and duties that you have just embraced and discharged with tremendous grace. You were very fortunate to be able to lead the borough's celebrations, the Queen's Jubilee, and I have very fond memories of our street dancing, barn dancing, a wonderful day, and that set the tone for me, for your mayoralty. We didn't expect the solemnity of the responsibility you had to receive the Queen's coffin at RAF Northolt, and we certainly wouldn't have foreseen at the beginning of your mayoralty that you would then be leading the borough again in celebrations at the King's coronation. And unfortunately, there was no dancing this time for us, although you were there with the same warmth, the same smile, with Marius, meeting residents, and your visit was greatly appreciated. The takeaway for me of your mayoral year has been your warmth and compassion, your humility, your selflessness, your approachability. It has been truly magnificent, and that became clear at Fassnage when we were at the party in the park. And I was just observing the way that you allowed and facilitated selfie after selfie after selfie with people of all ages, young and old. You getting down on your knees to be with the kids and having time for the older residents as well. I've been fortunate to assist you at 2 civic award ceremonies, the most recent one earlier in the year. And it struck me then that just about everybody in the room you knew, because you had been around to meet them elsewhere in your duties. And unusually, you insisted on reading out the citations yourself because you wanted to make this a personal award. And that is an absolute symbol of, for me, and a sign of your giving of yourself to our residents. You've been clearly focused on raising money for your charities and have been successful, as you said. But you've also been insistent on doing it differently, to requiring sponsorship to fund the charity events and not the council. And that is absolutely to be commended. And I am absolutely delighted to be able to match the funding that you have raised from the money that we have recovered or received from the recycling of our textiles. And I am very pleased that we are able to do that, particularly recognising the fact that you have used sponsorship and not council funds to set up what has been previous events. Your warmth and openness has made you very popular with our residents, as I've said, but I know that you couldn't have achieved this on your own. It has been very much a family Team Haggar event. Marius, I've met you a number of times at these events, but I also know that you've been well supported by Polly and Ellie, and our thanks also extend to your family for the support that they have given you. It has been a truly remarkable year. You have served it absolutely outstandingly. I am sad that it's ended in many ways because it has been so successful, but I'm also delighted that you're going to be back in our ward helping us in East Coast. So thank you very much, Becky.
Is that seconded?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your election as Mayor for this year. Madam Mayor, what can I say? I was trying to prepare a speech and just couldn't prepare one because you just can't put down in writing just how wonderful your year has been. As has been mentioned, it's been a really royal year with the Platinum Jubilee, the death of the Queen, the proclamation of the new King, and lastly the coronation. Throughout all of that, you've done the borough absolutely proud. And aside from all the royal events, all the other events, your smile is infectious. It lights up the room. And the joy that you've brought to the mayoralty this year is outstanding. Also in this chamber, probably the most difficult of the jobs of the mayor is to keep us in order. And you've been meticulously fair in keeping us in order and ensuring that we get through the business on time and very efficiently. So on behalf of the opposition, it's a very big thank you from us. Thank you.
Councillor Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Past Mayor Becky Haggar, what a year. Sad times, happy times. You've done Hillingdon proud. And as has already been said, as first citizen, you epitomise what the role entails. I've got to let into a little secret. I used to get a weekly debrief from one of your kids about what you've been doing every day, and it's always been positive. And it was indeed a Team Haggar contribution. Marius, Polly, Ellie May, and above all three of them, I reckon Mum deserves a big thank you. Some advice that was given to me when I was the mayor, I'm going to pass on to you now. Enjoy your weekend and look forward to seeing you back in the office with your smile on Monday. Thank you.
Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And firstly, can I congratulate you on your elevation to being Mayor for Hillingdon Council for 23-24. We've had many conversations over very many years, and I'm delighted that you've managed where you are tonight. I'm delighted to see you up there, so good luck for your forthcoming year. Now moving on to Councillor Haggar. Becky, so delighted. You've had the most wonderful year, and we've shared very many events together, libraries with glitter and dancing in Fasnage, and I have to agree with the leader. I got a selfie with you at the weekend, so yes, she even does it for the adults as well as for the young children. I just wanted to say that you've just shone this year. Yes, you've had so many events and so many big occasions, but you're not just even about that. It's the small occasions, the quiet occasions, everything. There's nothing that you haven't been able to shine at. Up there, controlling the meetings, as Councillor Curling has said, did your utmost to keep us in control almost 100% of the time, so thank you very much. And your energy and effort that you've put into this year has been nothing more than astounding, and I can only aspire to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councillor Cotham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again, congratulations on your appointment, and have a great year. Mr. Mayor, I guess it's a little known fact in this chamber that it was I who, 10 years ago, first suggested to Becky that she might want to consider standing in the 2014 local elections. She was one of my residents from the old West Ryseck ward, with whom I'd worked, and she'd been instrumental in galvanising local residents to help the council work and restore and improve one of our local parks in Hill Lane. And that's still fondly remembered locally, I can tell you, Becky. I was struck at the time by her dynamism, energy, and a natural way with people, which had such an impact. And it's great to see that abundant potential come to fruition on a wider stage in the year since, and not least in your mayoral year. Mr. Mayor, I'm one of a generation who grew up often hearing elders around me saying policemen were getting younger and younger. As a long-serving member in Hillingdon, perhaps it's more apt to say that mayors seem to be getting younger, although that may, of course, be illusory. But as more contemporaries have served as mayor in recent years, it's been pleasing to note the energy, the creativity shown in approaching the role, while representing all that's good about the mayoralty, our rich civic heritage, with new generations, and finding new ways to do that too, which I think is so important in a changing world. Becky, you've exemplified this, taking every opportunity to protect your own very compelling enthusiasm to all that you've undertaken over this last year. Take the fundraising 5K, in which we both took part in Stockley Park, for which, incidentally, there are still opportunities to donate if any members are interested. At 9 a.m. a week ago on Saturday, on the starting line, I can tell you, Mr. Mayor, it was one of those things that really sounded like a good idea at the time. Becky had every right to sit this one out and greet us at the finishing line, but characteristically she gamely took part, complete in mayoral robes and chatting to and encouraging other runners along the way. She was a tremendous sport, as always, and it says everything about her. Well done, Becky, on a great mayoral year. Thank you.
Councillor Avery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and can I add my congratulations on your election? I'm sure you will have a great year. I will turn the rest of my speech to Councillor Haggar. Becky, it's been my privilege to accompany you on a number of events across the year. You've obviously had the big formal events, which will be unique to your year, and nobody else is really going to be able to replicate that list. But I've also been with you on a number of the normal events of a mayoral year, and you've always had that sense of energy and enthusiasm and willingness to talk to people. Even when we've done 3 or 4 park openings in a morning, and on a wet and windy morning, we get to the last one and you're still as keen and enthusiastic as you were at the first. And you're always keen to engage with the residents who've come out to join the event. There are one or two highlights. One or two are captured in pictures, I am told. There is one of you in a river wearing Wellington boots, which the Green Spaces team seemed to circulate. There was one where you gave, we were at the Haste Hill Golf Club, and the golf manager almost had a fright when you asked to take a golf club, but I think she hit the golf ball, so you couldn't actually do it. And there was another morning, if I remember, down in West Drayton, when the whole of the party was persuaded to get on the outdoor gym equipment. And there are photographs. So you had a great year. You've been a great asset to our borough. Well done, and thank you.
Are there any other speakers? Is the vote of thanks agreed? Agreed. Moving on to the final part of item 7, presentation of past mayors and past mayors consort badges for 2022-2023. Moving on to agenda item 8, report of the Head of Democratic Services. Councillor Edwards, the leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This is quite simply to ask Council to note the continued appointment of my existing cabinet. There will be no changes. And also to agree a change to the Constitution regarding the definition of chief officers that was considered by the Appointments Committee recently. I so move.
Is there a second by Councillor Bianco?
I second.
Speakers? Is that agreed? Agenda item 9, Committee allocations and membership 2023-2024. Councillor Richard Mills.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the committee allocations and membership on agenda item 9 as per the agenda pack.
Is there seconded by Councillor Davis?
I second.
Are there any other speakers? Agenda item 10, Select Committee's Annual Report. Councillor Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I also offer my congratulations to you on your election as first citizen of our borough. Mr. Mayor, I'm pleased to report that it's been a healthy year for overview and scrutiny in Hillingdon. Our 5 select committees have discharged their democratic and statutory responsibilities effectively this year, undertaking the independent monitoring, scrutiny and review of a broad array of council services. Our scrutiny of external bodies in relation to crime and disorder and local health services also continues to be constructive, robust and accountable. Councillor Dennis will speak more about this later and the work on the Health and Social Care Select Committee. In Hillingdon, we are fortunate to have a respectful cross-party approach at select committee meetings, and we seek to operate without fear or favour in pursuit of our objectives. We have remained attentive on emerging issues, for example, the review into the tragic death of Arab Ishaq, seeking assurances of how Hillingdon Council is actively tackling damp and mould in social housing, and how we are implementing the Building Safety Act 2022 to protect our high-rise blocks from fires. Mr. Mayor, committees have flexibility in the multi-year programme, meaning we can adapt and prioritise our activities so that the findings we bring before Cabinet can have real value at the right time. One example of this was the Empty Homes Council Tax Premium Review in late 2022, which has now been implemented this financial year. A key principle that select committees have in common is engagement. This is what I will focus on this evening. Engagement with residents, experts, community groups and of course council officials is critical to effective scrutiny in Hillingdon. Our work this year has benefited greatly from direct resident engagement at select committee meetings themselves, such as the Empty Homes and Alligating reviews. We appreciate residents giving up their time to participate in the democratic process. Councillors have also engaged directly with our frontline services, and this year has been a record number of site visits, such as the Uxbridge Family Hub, Hillingdon Fire Station, the Highways Team and Breakspear Crematorium. These visits enable members to understand the practicalities on the ground and is vital for us to fulfil our scrutiny responsibilities. As part of the role to hold the executive to account in a constructive way, we have had a record number of cabinet members engaged with select committees this year, and I would like to thank those cabinet members for attending and answering questions. The Finance and Corporate Services Select Committee is engaged with a top law firm in respect of their procurement review and met with all key managers in the counter-fraud team whilst monitoring their services. Councillors on our corporate imperative panel continues to proactively engage with children in the council's care and care leavers directly on topics that matter to them, integrating our important corporate parenting responsibilities within our democratic arrangements. The Children, Families and Education Select Committee's review into the innovative Stronger Families Hub has engaged with a large number of external witnesses, often in informal settings, enabling councillors to hear the voices of young people, parents, providers and partners. My own committee, the Resident Services Select Committee, has a key role to hold the Safe of Hillingdon Partnership to account. This year we have had senior representatives of the Metropolitan Police and the Probation Service engage with councillors to focus on the issues that matter to residents, such as trends in crime and the recruitment of more police officers. Ensuring transparency and accountability of how public funds are used in delivering services is a key theme in National Scrutiny Guidance, and in doing so, the Property, Highways and Transport Select Committee has engaged with our Highways contractor this year as part of their review into attaining best practice and value for our resurfacing programme. In closing, Mr Mayor, it has been an engaging year for overall scrutiny in Hillingdon. I have only given you some of the highlights tonight, however, the annual report itself summarises the sheer breadth of our activity this year. I would also like to place on record my thanks to our officers in democratic services for the sterling work that they do to assist us. Mr Mayor, on behalf of all members of the select committees and all those who have engaged in our work, I commend this annual report to Council.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Davis? Councillor Dennis?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, for allowing me to second this motion.
I'd also like to congratulate you on your elevation to the position of Mayor, a role that I know you'll do with enthusiasm and a big smile. My esteemed colleague, Councillor Bridges, has highlighted that the annual report means different things to different people. For me, the report means Christmas, and in specific, the Christmas that has just passed. And even more specifically, that time of day after you've been for that post-dinner walk, you're sat in your living room waiting for the Strictly Christmas special. There's no way of avoiding it. You have to speak to your family. There I was, sat in the corner of the room, hoping that I could camouflage into the chair and read my book, when my mum turned to me and said, "Do you actually make any difference in the council?" Now, Councillor Bridges, if only you'd been there, you could have told her all about the great things our scrutiny committees do, and I could have read my books. But alas, you were not. So I had to go into great detail about the important work the Health and Social Care Select Committee do to hold to account those who provide health and social care services to our residents. This is not a straightforward task, as the only thing more complex, more interconnected, but also more random than the workings of the human body is the workings of the NHS. Some of our committee's achievements over the last year have been to bring together the police and local A&E services in order to come up with better ways of processing patients with mental health issues. And this better way of working frees up police time quicker so they can get back onto the streets doing what everyone wants them to do. We've also scrutinised the ever-evolving plans to redevelop Hillingdon Hospital. We've held the NHS to account when they proposed to change how orthopaedic, phlebotomy and cancer services are provided, making sure they realise what Hillingdon residents really want. We held a scrutiny session with Councillor Palmer, the Cabinet Member for Health and Social Care, to get an in-depth look at the challenges we face, but also to celebrate some of the great work our social care staff do, and it is really important that we celebrate the great work that we do as well. So in summary, our select committees are great places where councillors from different political parties come together to work out what can make the best possible difference for our residents. So next Christmas, I'm going to keep a copy of this report by my side. If any family member wants to interrupt my precious reading time, I'll give them this report and ask them to come back to me once they've read their papers. Mr. Mayor, I'm honoured to second this motion.
Are there any other speakers? Is the report noted? Moving on to agenda item 11, statement by the Leader of the Council, Councillor Edwards.
Sorry, I was just waiting for the phone to be answered. Mr. Mayor, as we have heard, it has been a notable year for the nation. I was hoping to not refer to the political turmoil, but that is out there. But it is also important that we note not only the events that are happening, but the consequences of those events, which includes the cost of living pressure on our residents. Whilst it's been notable for the nation, it has been a steady year for the council. As we have heard in this chamber before, we have a balanced budget for this year, and we have commenced our rebuild of reserves, which is necessary moving forwards. We've been successful in achieving the full £13 million saving programme for 2022-23, and we have a fully developed savings plan of nearly £21 million for the present year. Importantly, even after our increase in 5% in council tax, we continue to present very good value to our residents. And it is worth reminding residents and this chamber that in Hillingdon, a typical resident in a Band D property pays approximately £500 less per year than the national average, £366 less than our neighbours Harrow, and £168 less than the outer London average. And we continue with our weekly free collections, including garden waste. Our commitment to sound financial management and putting residents first is unwavering. The economic situation and uncertainty is likely to continue. The economy so far has managed to swerve an official recession, and whilst the Bank of England are now saying that a recession is not likely, we still cannot claim the outlook is bright. In fact, inflation is sticky. The Bank of England rate
increased today to 4.5, and the market expectation is for a further 2 interest rates this year. This together will add pressure to our residents. But it has not only been a steady year for the council, it has been a successful one. And we have made good progress across the delivery of our council plan. With regards to supporting those families with the cost of living crisis, last year, 2022-23, the council made payments to 1 in 10 households to help with energy and water bills. The council's provided 62,000 food vouchers for children. And this year, the council will disburse more than £4 million to support households in need. There are some other unsung achievements, and I just pick a few because these pass by, but are indicators of the work that our officers do for us. Nearly 6,000 children joined the library's Summer Reading Challenge last year, which is testament to our library service, but also testament to the engagement of our families and young people in the service that is offered. 3,000 children, parents and carers attended Hillingdon's 8th Playday event. Hillingdon was ranked top in the capital for offering children their parents' first preference in April's Primary School National Offer Day. And the exemplary nature of our family service was recognised by the visit of the Princess of Wales. At the last AGM, I spoke on our commitment to improve access to and the standard of housing. And we have made good progress in that regard. We are well on track to deliver our commitment of an average of 100 additional council houses across our 4-year term. In addition, this year, and this is testament to the work of our officers again, 78 council and temporary accommodation properties have been recovered by our fraud team, making them available to families in need. We are on track for the redevelopment of our Hayes and Aidendale Drive estates. And the work of our officers has enabled us to have amongst the lowest level of temporary accommodation in London, being the 4th lowest, although that is a rising pressure, as I will speak to in a minute. Our commitment is not only to increasing the number, but also the standard of our housing. And I have been very keen, in fact insistent, that we prioritise safety and thermal efficiency first and foremost. We have been successful in safety, attending to fire doors, lifts, circuit boards, electrical work and others. And we are now beginning to move on to thermal efficiency. And that is important because not only does this deal with damp and mould, but it directly addresses fuel poverty, which is one of the burdens on our residents. We have secured just over £1.5 million last year from the government to help our work, and that translates into activities such as 735 new boilers being fitted in council dwellings, each of them estimated to deliver 15% more efficiency. That is not only a benefit to the planet, but also a benefit to those households. And we expect this year to be fitting, or in the coming period, we're expecting to be fitting 1,752 boilers. We're also committed to making our communities stronger and safer. We provided free public liability insurance and road closures, and a small grant for more than 180 street parties to help residents celebrate the Jubilee and the coronation. We've strengthened our enforcement, and Hillingdon People regularly features articles about prosecutions, planning enforcements, and seizures of unlawful products. Throughout the year, more than 5,000 fines were issued for environmental, antisocial behaviour and public space protection order offences. And this year we saw the publication of the Casey report, which shone a spotlight on the unacceptable culture and behaviour of police officers that is being dealt with, but also, most helpfully, shone a spotlight on the neglect of frontline policing in the determinations of priorities of our commissioner, or past commissioners. That has afforded us the opportunity to engage with the new commissioner and with the Mayor of London And as a single voice across London, we have been insistent on addressing the deficit arising out of the tri-borough arrangements around the basic command units. Pleased to say that the Commissioner has responded and has appointed a borough superintendent for each borough, and this will give us a platform to recast and rebuild our partnership with police, making us more effective in tackling crime and antisocial behaviour. And helpfully, the Commissioner has given an undertaking to pause the Met's estate strategy, and he will review the planned closure of Oxbridge Police Station, and we will hold him to account for that. Looking at a green and more sustainable borough, you could not expect me as leader of the Conservative group not to mention green flags. And I am pleased to be able to say we have 4 more this year, taking our total to 67. Of course, the most of any local authority, and this for the 10th year running. Little snippets, little details that residents might miss. 17,000 trees and whips, the small trees, have been planted across the borough this year. 13 more schools have benefited from green screens to create natural air filtering barriers between the schools and nearby roads. Our investments have continued, Mr. Mayor. A memorial was installed at Breakspear Crematorium to remember the borough's residents who tragically lost their lives to COVID. We have invested in our sports and fitness facilities. £1.5 million facelift has been completed at Hillingdon Sports and Leisure and Highgrove Pool. And last week, I had the pleasure of attending the West Drayton site for the topping out ceremony to see the magnificent structure that's being built there that is going to become a truly fantastic community asset. We are expecting, or at least I am expecting very soon, to see a forthcoming planning application for the new water sports and outdoor activity in the borough. Little things. Innovations like opening a 6-bed respite home, the retreat, for people in need of mental health support outside of a clinical setting. £4 million restoration work nearing completion at Cranford Park. Of course, our investment in our roads and highways. 24 roads, 13 pavements completely resurfaced, major bridge improvements in Hayes. Another little detail, 625 light columns replaced. But we must adapt as needs change. And the need and the change of our borough has been, for me, clearly shown in the analysis of the census 2021, which was published very recently, February 2023. It shows that the borough has experienced proportionately greater growth in population than England and double that of inner London. We had the 6th highest population growth of all London boroughs, with age profiles continuing to get older, which has implications for our care services. Whilst the age profile of our adults is getting older, for children is in fact getting younger, with a reduction in the age group of 15 to 30, potentially as a consequence of the property prices forcing young families away from our borough. But of course, the profile of having more younger people, or proportionally more younger people, has impacts for our family service. The makeup of our households is changing. The majority of our households do not have dependent children. 1 in 10 households are in multiple family households. And that, of course, now has implications for our management of HMOs. 1 in 4 households are one person. Implications for isolation and loneliness. These are all increasing. The percentage of residents living in rented accommodation has now gone up to 40%. And interestingly, more than 1% of our households have no central heating. And that's a surprise to me. We are a more diverse borough. In 2011, about 1 in 4 residents identified as being Asian or Asian British. Now it's 1 in 3. Hillingdon has the 3rd highest increase of the percentage of population born outside the UK, within London. But pleasingly, 80% of our residents insist they're British. The threats that we face are not only economic. And I will mention ULEZ, but not to make a political point. but to signal to me what I believe it could represent to this borough. The negative impacts, I believe, grossly outweigh the marginal benefits. It directly weakens our strategy to help older people live independently for longer. It will remove their mobility, or for many will remove their mobility, resulting in increased isolation and greater social care costs. The cost on local employment, particularly on low salary jobs, our care workers, shift workers at the airport, for example, will be passed on. It will have impacts for recruitment and retention of staff. It is recognised, not only by us, but also by the Mayor, that it will reduce footfall in Uxbridge, undermining our businesses. It is no wonder that Unite, UK's largest union, called the scheme profoundly anti-worker. Labour alone defended the Mayor's scrappage scheme, with Liberal Democrats, Greens and Conservatives in the GLA rejecting it as inadequate. As residents may be following online, let me share with them that the permission for judicial review was granted on 2 of the 5 grounds, and we have an application to argue for the additional 2 grounds to be considered, and that will be heard on the 25th of May, with the substantive hearing provisionally listed for the 4th of July. It is not only ULEZ that's a bit of a threat to us. It is also, I believe, housing and homelessness. There is an emerging perfect storm coming. Home ownership is increasingly unreachable for first-time buyers. The supply of private rental homes is contracting as government policy makes it a less attractive investment. Inflation has made private rents less affordable, and inflation is constricting the supply of new social builds as maintenance costs absorb greater capital from social landlords. Our priorities moving forwards for this year in face of these events is much of a continuation of what we are doing regarding our modernisation, pursuing the savings, ensuring sound financial management. We will complete the rollout of the robotics and ensure end-to-end connectivity. We will overhaul our IT systems and the architecture to ensure that we are becoming more efficient. And I am keen that we embrace an app-based approach to reporting rather than our web-based reporting functionality. Importantly, we will be reviewing middle management to further reduce management costs, having now settled on our senior management tier. And we will continue to make more intensive use of our assets, which not only increases our opportunity to dispose of excess assets and reinvest that money into our retained assets, but also reduces our annual running costs. We will deliver an improved family service and youth offer. The exact shape of that is being determined by consultation at this moment in time. We will rebuild our community safety partnership with the police. We must embrace a multidisciplinary approach to a resident-centred problem solving. We must put residents at the centre of our approach in dealing with these problems. We will demand greater transparency and information sharing from the police, and we will undertake joint tasking with them. And as I have said, we will also continue to defend and argue for the retention of Uxbridge Police Station. Tackling our housing supply and the conditions and standards will be a challenge. It is not something that is solvable by the council alone. That depends upon government intervention. We will do our bit though. We must refresh our HRA investment plans, our housing revenue account investment plans in light of the changing environment. We will happily embrace the tenant focus of the new social housing regulation, and it is wholly consistent with our approach of putting residents first. We must review our approach to the management of HMO and consider discretionary licensing scheme to bring about better supervision of the rapidly expanding number of HMOs. And we will strengthen our oversight of private rented housing standards as more and more of our residents are living in that sector. And we will bring enforcement of housing standards together under community safety independent from the housing department, not because we don't trust them, but so that residents have a separate voice and a single voice to approach the council to deal with their housing, unsatisfactory housing circumstances. With regards to the environment, we are as committed as we have been. We have taken a good year in developing our plans and investment, and we've also been able to secure £13.7 million of money from the government to assist with improving the thermal efficiency and CO2 emissions from the Civic Centre and a few other council buildings. We will be addressing air quality. We will be rolling out further our flats, within our flats, the waste and recycling, and we will be seeing a tender coming forwards for EV, electric vehicle charging points within the borough. There is much that separates this chamber, and that is healthy. We need a good opposition and the challenge it brings, and every now and then we are very happy to steal some of your good ideas. We won't give you credit for them, though. Although we are separated by such matters and politics, there is a great deal that does join us. And that's first and foremost, that is in the words around the King, which is, we are unanimous in our commitment to serve our communities, both current and future generations. I pay tribute to our officers, because it is on their hard work that we, the council, achieve. I give to thank the corporate management team for their leadership and the delivery of change that this administration will continue to seek. And I thank you all, every member, for the work that you do and the service that you give to the community. Without your work, this council would not be the great council that it is, and this borough would not be the great borough that we are all proud of. Finally, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I wish you the most successful of years. Thank you.
Leader, thank you for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In a moment, ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor will close the meeting and depart the chamber. If I could then ask all our guests in the public gallery, if you'd like to proceed by the two doors at the side there, out downstairs. Our members of the mayoral team will be there to show you down to the mayoral reception. Members of the council, as you know, unfortunately, I need to hang on to you for 5 minutes more when that happens.
I formally close the meeting.